What is going on, guys? We are back again with another awesome episode of Wrestling with Tragedy. I just want to thank everybody out there watching for subscribing to our YouTube channel, for subscribing to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our Twitter page, and now there's a very good possibility you're watching this show on none other than the Vince Russo Network. Shout out to Vince. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this platform. We could not be more grateful for it. So thank you guys for watching wherever you're coming to us from and giving us just a few moments of your day to talk to three guys who think they know it all. So before we get into it, let's just take a pause for the cause and try to pay some bills really quick, guys. We want to give a special shout out to our sponsors. First of which being A Rock Designs. A Rock Designs is a custom business that makes all those cool cups, hoodies, t-shirts, keychains, anything you want, guys. This company can handle. Make sure you hit up A Rock Designs on Facebook and talk to Ashley Rodriguez, and she can take all of your orders and get them out to you, like that amazing CM Punk tumbler that Piers is holding. That is a direct product from A Rock Designs. If you want to get your hands on anything wrestling, non wrestling, it does not matter. Let them know at A Rock Designs and tell her Wrestling with Tragedy sent you. Next, guys, we have Mayon belts. If you're looking to start your belt collection or add to your belt collection, much like Piers and myself, make sure you hit up Mayon belts on Facebook and talk to Eddie and Ira Williams. They have the best payment plan you're ever going to find, as low as $20 a paycheck until the belt is paid off. As soon as you pay it off, the belt is in the mail on the way to you. And Eddie has the best customer service I've ever dealt with. So easy, guys. I could have done it in my sleep. ProWrestlingTees.com/Wrestling Review Society, ProWrestlingTees.com/MWA World. This is where our merchandise is currently being sold. We are in the process of having a Wrestling with Tragedy Pro Wrestling Tee store, but at the moment, this is where you can find our amazing shirts and some really cool merch that you guys can get your hands on. And lastly, guys, once again, a huge, huge thank you to Vince Russo and the Vince Russo Network. With that being said, as you guys can see right here behind me, I got the Rated R Spinner Championship. I got the Big Gold Championship. This is one of three versions that I have. I'm a huge, huge Edge fan. I love talking about Edge. I love watching him wrestle. But we're going to shed a very different light on it today. We are going to be talking about the Edge, Lita, and Matt Hardy scenario that went down. We all can remember the very real explosions on Monday Night Raw when Matt Hardy called into the radio station and did that whole little gimmick. But this is one of those storylines in pro wrestling that turned out to be true, and it was so personal and so in your face. It almost became uncomfortable to watch, but you couldn't look away at the same time. So I don't want to miss out on anything that led up to this. So we're going to do our best to stay on track. We're going to do our best to cover everything we can, starting with Amy Dumas, also known as Lita, her very early career, beginning in Mexico, going to get trained. So I want to, at this time, turn it over to Piers, who's going to take us on a little little tour, on a little guide through the early career of one Amy Dumas.
Thanks, Kevin. And I just wanted to make a quick special thanks to the band The Cicadas, who supplied us with our beautiful entrance music, which is called Restriction. You can find their contact information in the description below. But yeah, so getting into...
Angel, I swear, he's making some scratch on this and he's not telling us.
I know, right?
I'm definitely not. I'm just, hey, supporting people that support us, brother.
The Aussie money.
No, seriously, thank you for the entrance music. It's very nice to have something that we're not going to get in trouble for copyright laws. So you don't know how much you really helped us out with that, guys.
Absolutely. And they're a great bunch of guys. But getting into our topic, so starting off with Lita. So rumor has it she went down to she did go down to Mexico to get trained. Rumor has it that how she got into getting trained is
she went down to Mexico and she went down in Mexico.
Yeah, so she did a few favors to get trained. And when I mean favors, mean
We're talking about sucking dick, guys.
we're talking about sucking dick. We're talking about taking that luchador dick and to get trained. Now, obviously, people can be however they want to be. People can be promiscuous if they want to be that way. And if that's the way that someone wants to break into the world of professional wrestling or break into any world for that matter, power to you. However, when I heard that, I was like, man, there's a lot of people want to get in pro wrestling and they'll do whatever it takes to get into pro wrestling. To go to that level, I don't know, man. That to me just sort of
just curiosity. Where did you hear that information from? Like, where was your sources?
I've heard that from multiple different sources over the years, and I've heard it from interviews from others, certain news articles from others as well, and I've heard it from multiple different sources.
Well, I want to go ahead and just say this to not to argue or contradict anything that Piers is saying, but I think one of the things we need to really draw attention to is this is such a double standard. It's such a taboo topic when it comes to a female, because had this have been, let's say, a Seth Rollins or Brock Lesnar or R-Truth or a single male, and I know those guys aren't single right now, I was just using males as examples, but if this were a single male and he slept with somebody to get his foot in the door, we wouldn't even be giving it a second glance, although it does tie into the story later on down the line. But it's like Piers said, every single day there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people wanting to break into the pro wrestling business, and people will do whatever they have to do to get ahead.
I saw what you did there.
Yeah,
I saw what you did.
I just really want to drive home the fact that just because she's a female doesn't mean, it's such a double standard when we talk about sexual favors to get ahead. If it's a dude, high five, man, awesome job, great. If it's a female, you fucking whore.
Well, man, I had to get a discount. I mean, this is a funny story. I remember one time, me, Tommy Dreamer, we were staying at the Fairfield Hotel, Marriott, and the receptionist was booking us in the hotel, and Tommy's like, "Hey, can you give us a deal?" And and she's like, "Well, no, I can't give you a discount." And she goes, "Hey, if we have Angel take you out on a date, would you give us a discount?" So fucking had to take. So she gave us a discount. I had to take her on a date and smash it. It was like a fat Mexican chick behind the bar. So I have done my dirty deed to get discounts at the Marriott Hotel for Tommy Dreamer.
But see, that goes to exactly what I was saying. See, we're sitting here, you tell that story, and all three of us start laughing. Had you been a female and be like, "Yeah, I did the deed so I can get 35 cents off my hotel room," we're instantly up in arms about it.
Can I just say, like what I said earlier was not trying to slut shame, or it wasn't anything like that. It was just no. I'm just saying for the viewers out there, I'm just stating on information that I found out, and I'm not trying to say that makes her a bad person. I'm not saying that it makes her whatever it is. Fuck, you're a dickhead, Angel. Like, seriously, you're like, instead of being a professional podcaster, you should be a professional dickhead, because you would be the fucking top of the food chain there. But what I'm saying is, I am not trying to call her out for anything, for her past indiscretions or anything like that. I'm just saying of the information that I found when I was researching this topic. I'm just putting that out.
And it wasn't and I know you didn't take it this way, but it wasn't a shot at Piers. It's just society in general. Whenever, like, perfect example, we're all fathers. Yeah. I've got 4 boys. I look at my sons and I'm like, one day I hope they get every piece of female that they want in their lifetime. I would never think that about my daughter.
I'm a father of a son, and I'm a father of a little girl. And to be honest, I sit there and just go, man, my daughter ain't leaving the house till she's at least 40. You know what I mean? My son.
And you're like, go out there and just take the Pound Town, boy. Do me
Well,
proud.
my son's 4, so I'm not having that conversation with him just yet, Kevin. But I get what you're saying, and like, not to be off topic, I grew up with myself and a younger sister, and back in the day, my sister wanted to have her boyfriend stay over, and my dad's like, nope. My sister goes, you let Pierce have his girlfriend stay over, and he goes, that's different. And this is back in the 90s. She goes, it's because he's a boy and I'm a girl, isn't it? And he went, yep.
I didn't know you had a sister. Is she single?
No,
it doesn't matter.
And even if she was, she ain't going near the Kingpin.
You need some Puerto Rican, Australian / Puerto Rican little brown nephews.
What I'm saying is, there's always been that double standard, and I think in this day and age, it's probably not as much as what it was back then in the 90s and early 2000s, but it's still around today, but not as much as it was back when we were kids growing up.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And my dad was a hippie. So, you know what I mean? For my dad to have that mentality back then.
So now that we got the social stigmatism out of the way, Piers, please continue.
So Lita, obviously, went down and did allegedly went down and did favors to get trained into the wrestling world. And allegedly. And the thing is, back then,
we're putting it on a t-shirt, allegedly. But back then in the 90s, the wrestling business was still protected to a certain degree. It's not like how it is now, where someone could look up on the internet and find where a wrestling school is and go down there and say, hey, here's my $1,500. I want to be a pro wrestler. Back then, it's like you had to get an in somewhere. And she was very determined. Very much intact. She was definitely wanting to get into the world of pro wrestling. And she did what she needed to allegedly did what she needed to do. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's false. That's the information that I found out. So she did some training in Mexico, and she worked down there for a little bit, came back to the United States, and then, she started working with ECW. She was partnered up with Danny Doring. Angel, you'd probably be able to confirm this or not. I'm not sure if she was with Danny Doring in a relationship back then, but she was partnered up on an on-screen capacity. So I'm not trying to get you heat, Angel. Well, actually, I am trying to get you heat. So fuck you. Well, let's bury Angel tonight. No.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, I remember when she first came to ECW, we were in, I can't remember what state we were in, but I was her first match. It was me. She was my manager, my valet, and it was against Vito Lagrasso, which you will have on your show, I think, tomorrow. And you can definitely ask him about that story. And we had a great match. She took a awesome pile driver, and when she came back to the locker room, Paul was just so into her because she was doing so bigger things than any other female did at the time. She was an awesome girl. I mean, we clicked real well. Now the relationship with Danny Doran, they kayfabed that. True story. I'm not lying, because but we knew that they were together. But again, we were just none of our business and stuff like that, because they were always together as Miss Congeniality and all that stuff. So yeah, on the download, they were together.
And look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But she was only in ECW for what, a cup of coffee? On the download, but he mentions it on a podcast that streams worldwide on YouTube on the network. So it's not like anybody's going to see it. Nice plug there, Kevin.
Well, she was there. I mean, it was not a flash in the pan type of thing. I mean, she was there for a good minute because we hung out a lot, and she was, like I said, awesome to hang out with. But when Vince saw her doing all these high flying moves, man, he just snatched her up, man. She was a hot commodity. And I don't even think she was on the contract, so that's why she was able to go to WWE at the time.
And I mean, she did amazing things. She was a key role in the Attitude Era. The things she did with Trish, we seen for the first time, we seen a female or not the first time, but one of the first times, we seen a woman taking chair shots to the face, suicide dives to the outside, moonsaults and all this crazy stuff off the top rope, and getting in there and mixing it up with the men. Lita was one of the very first intergender people we seen as far as these intergender matches. She really paved the way for a lot of females.
And she was a phenomenal worker as well. That's something that no one can take. Really, I put her in there, man. I think she was a great worker, and I think she was.
And I know this is a little off topic, but I have this argument all the time. The Attitude Era, yeah, we liked it. We liked the women's wrestling because they were doing new and innovative things. But look at women's wrestling today and look at it versus back then. Back then, it wasn't that great. They just did it
No,
was spot fest.
but she was better than pretty much all the women that was wrestling
I
at the
will
time.
say,
And at the
I
time,
think
she was a solid
better.
worker for. Yeah.
She was better than they allowed her to be.
I agree. I strongly agree with that, and I think she definitely had some skill, and she definitely was. She was unique. You know what I mean? Like the tattoo, the way she dressed. You know, that very I don't want to say goth style, but that punk rock.
The thong.
Sort of. Yeah, boy. But that was the thing. She was so unique to what we'd seen in wrestling before, and what we seen in wrestling before. Sable, Sunny. You know what I mean? Like she
very
was someone
dolled
who was
up, very pretty. Like
she was alternative.
She was
alternative.
punk rock, just edgy. Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. She was the she was going against the grain. She had a very different image, and one of her biggest rivals of all time, Trish Stratus, very pretty woman, bleach blonde, great figure. She was the Barbie doll type, and then you had Lita come in, and she was like, "Look, I don't have to look like that to be successful in this business." Like she was what she was. I'll go ahead and say, as far as women go, she was one of the first ones to fight against the system, win, and get herself over. Another thing that we saw, and this is a little off topic, but Lita can be said that she paved the way for things like this to happen when the WWE signed Eva Marie. She had very dark hair, and they wanted her to go blonde, I believe is what it was. They wanted her to dye her hair blonde. She didn't want to do it. She went against the grain. She dyed her hair red. She made her own decision. And I know I'm over in left field, but this is where I tie it together. Eva Marie went against the grain and made her own decision, and she got it over. Lita did that years prior before anybody else was doing it. She said, I don't have to be blonde. I don't have to have, all the painted on makeup. I don't have to wear these skimpy little outfits. In every match, I don't have to go out here and hair pull and bra and panties match and jello fighting and stuff like that. She really fought to get her style over. And she was one of the first women to pave the way for other women like Sasha Banks, like Bailey, like Eva Marie, like Paige, like AJ Lee to really come into pro wrestling and say, this is how I want to present myself. So I give her all the credit and respect in the world for being able to do that and starting that trend for other women years down the road. So all respect her for that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Look, man, I was a punk rock kid growing up, and I remember when I first saw Lita come onto the screen as a teenage punk rocker, I was like, holy fuck. And I was in love. I was like, I was a huge Lita fan, straight off the bat.
I believe it, man. You probably had a lot of crunchy socks in your bedroom when your dad's like,
I remember seeing her on WWF Shotgun teamed up with S.A. Rios. Was he S.A. Rios? Yeah,
it was S.A. Rios. Yeah.
And as soon as I saw her do that moonsault, I was just like, fuck, I'm in love. Like, seriously, man. I thought she was the most amazing thing I'd seen because she was so unique. And she appealed to me, not just because I was a teenage boy and she was a hot chick, because her style appealed to me because that's the sort of style that I had. That was my style. So and a lot of kids around my age at that time, there was a lot of punk rock kids growing up. And that's what attracted a lot of people to her, both boys and girls of wrestling fans that really found Lita to be that captivating person that was like them.
And she really cornered that fan base early in her career because, like I said, during this time when you had Sable, Tori Wilson, Trish Stratus, not taking anything away from them, but literally you had a mold that was just stamping out these Barbie-esque characters. And then, like you said, Lita comes walking out and you're like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, but the thing about Lita is that, I mean, like I said, she was a phenomenal wrestler compared to like Sable. I mean, the only reason Sable was only where she was at is because Vince had a boner for her, and they thought she was fucking smoking hot. Which again, I saw bigger butts on a cigarette.
Apparently, so did Brock.
Yeah, you know, and stuff.
Brock smash.
Oh yeah, I mean, Mark Marrow. I mean. I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm not knocking the division, but I mean, half of that talent couldn't do what Lita could do. I mean, that's why they were doing bra and panty matches and doing like lingerie matches, because that's all they can do is just hair pull and stuff like that. I mean, I have not seen one. I mean, there was only certain people like Molly Holly, you know, would take a bump.
Lita was one half of the first Raw women's main event.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Trish Stratus came along, and Trish had to work to get good in the ring. You know what I mean? She put in a lot of work. She was committed to it, and a lot of the matches that Trish and Lita had later on down the track, when Trish became more of an established worker, those matches were incredible.
Yeah,
and
because
you can't take that away from them.
No, but
I think it was good for the time.
But like I said,
I agree. For the time, it was great.
Yeah, because you could separate the
wrestling
talent. You could separate the talent. I mean, you had your Jacquelines. You had Jacqueline was a phenomenal wrestler. I mean, she was a tough broad.
Great.
And but again, like I said, if you took all those girls, you definitely had, who was a solid worker and who was just TNA.
Well, let me put it to you like this: Would you rather watch a 20-minute Trish Stratus versus Lita match, or would you rather watch a 20-minute Melina versus Sable match? Technical wrestling.
It's wrestling. Yeah, I'm there to watch wrestling. If I want to watch women play with each other, I got the Playboy channel at the time.
So let's go ahead and get into her time with WWE and Team Extreme. We've seen her come onto the scenes, and I know I'm fast forwarding here, but we've seen her come onto the scenes with Team Extreme. It was her, it was Jeff Hardy, it was Matt Hardy, and there's Team Extreme, and they did some. They all seemed to really fit. They were that edgy, against the grain, their own kind of style, and all three of them had very unique styles, very different in a lot of ways, but they were also the same in a lot of ways as well. Yeah. They just, I don't think at the time you found a better trio of people than Team Extreme. Like you had Edge and Christian, and Trish was in there for a little bit, but after a while that kind of seemed forced. Team Extreme never seemed forced, and even to this day, when you had Matt and Jeff come back at WrestleMania, obviously Matt's in AEW right now, Jeff's still with WWE. They've been all over the world, TNA, Ring of Honor, everywhere. But even going back to the WrestleMania debut or WrestleMania return, the pop was ridiculous. Team Extreme is, or even Matt and Jeff, is as over as it's ever been, and it's because of the things they did very early in their career, and the way they really worked, and the way they told stories. I mean, we still see highlights of the spear from where Jeff is hanging onto the belts and Edge spears him. They innovated the ladder match, the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, and just the things they were able to do for pro wrestling is second to none. Now, we know that there was some pretty decent drug usage within Team Extreme. They were very injury prone.
Hell yeah.
You can't do these kind of moves and not get prone to injury. So, and like I said, I know I'm fast forwarding, but we find ourselves in a position where Matt Hardy is injured. He's off the road. He's at home. And Lita she's still an employee of the WWE. She's still a full-time worker. She still has to go to work. And who does she align herself with? Her safety net, Matt Hardy, is now sidelined at home. So, because of the relationship that the Hardy Boys and Team Extreme had with Edge and Christian, very close group of friends, they've openly said, we always ate together. We always rode together. We always stayed near each other. If not, if we were in the same hotel room, our rooms were right next to each other. We were always around each other. So when your significant other, the person you're in a relationship with, and the person you spend all your time with is now no longer on the road, who does she naturally fall in line with?
Him,
Second
of
group of
course.
friends.
Yeah.
And it makes the traveling easier. Angel, you can speak to this more than me and Piers can, but it's so much easier to travel with somebody that you know, somebody you love, somebody you respect at the time, loved as a friend, quote unquote, but somebody you know, love, and respect, somebody that you feel comfortable with. It makes those long road trips a lot easier than riding with, let's say, a new person, somebody you don't know, or even riding by yourself. So it's only natural that she would fall into that position.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I've been on the road, and you build a bond, and like you start talking. I mean, with the females, and she. I mean, like I said, you get personal. You tell your intimate secrets, especially that he's home injured, and she's consulting with him and stuff.
The
Oh,
first person you go to vent about stuff.
yeah, you van, or if you had an argument with your man, the line like, "Oh man, I can't believe we had an argument. He hates me," and oh, I wouldn't do that to you. I mean, that's totally insensitive of him to talk to you that way. I would never do that to you. I mean, that's just so wrong. And right there, he's just,
And
you
from
know,
everything that's come out, that's very similar to the road that happened.
yeah,
Yeah. And you know what? You mentioned, Kevin, the Hardy Boys and Lita and how they really came up and how over they were. And I think at the time, and Edge and Christian as well, they were teen heartthrobs for pro wrestling. They were heartthrobs.
Yeah.
You had the Hardy Boys, and Lita, which were the alternate, grungy, gothy type. And Edge and Christian, to some sort of degree, were like that as well. But then they obviously,
hair, the blue eyes, the tight pants.
exactly, they evolved into something else, right?
yeah.
But the Hardy Boys were always that alternate, grungy, goth types. And as you said, they were very close friends. They were all around the same age, give or take a year or two. So it's natural that she felt herself, going towards Edge when there was no one else on the road but her and him. Obviously they were friends. They were used to being around each other. Edge was married at the time, and from all reports, it was a pretty tumultuous relationship that he was in. And and also it was reported that Edge, Lita and Matt Hardy were also on rocky roads as well.
But
so you put that in a situation where you're both in a rocky relationship where you're not 100% happy. Yep, you're both very close friends. You're opposite sex, and you're both very attractive people. It's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah, but the thing is that
No, but no. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're both in incredible shape. You've got rocky relationships. You're around each other 24/7. It was I wasn't surprised that it happened.
Let me stop you right there, because due to our previous show, we had this similar discussion. That's why you do not shit where you eat. That's why you do not, intermingle with the talent. Because the thing is that once you're in a relationship and you break off with that girl, then you're gonna see her every time. She's gonna be with the next guy, and that's just gonna eat at you. That's why I never did that. Like Johnny Raj used to always tell me, pussy pulls more than a tugboat. I mean, the thing is that these guys,
I love that saying.
The thing is these guys get hooked up with these girls at the shows. Yeah, they look hot and stuff, but there's consequences to those situations, because once the shit goes sour, you're gonna sweet and sour, tower power. You're gonna see that bitch every day. Older dude, you're gonna see him every day, and then she's gonna jump on the next bandwagon or the next guy. Or the chick or whatever. Then that's just going to cause some animosity in the locker room. Because think about it. I mean, I know you guys are not in the business, but come on, Kevin. I mean, think about it. If your wife left you and went to your best friend, you're going to be seeing that woman all the time. You're going to be mad. You'll get over it, but it's just something you don't want to deal with.
I think it's like any relationships in the workplace. If you hook up, it doesn't matter if it's pro wrestling or take away from pro wrestling. If you have a relationship with someone in the workplace, it turns sour. You still need to turn up every day to do your fucking job to get paid, but you're still going to see that person every day. The difference is you can always find another job, but pro wrestling, that circle of top level talent in top companies, even back then, it's so tight knit and so small. There's no escaping it.
So
Yeah.
let's so let's get to let's get to the point or to the peak where everything starts to kick off. So like I previously said, you had Matt Hardy who was injured. He was off the road. He said in another interview he started to suspect some things. He actually sat down and talked with Edge, and he was under the impression that everything was good, that there was nothing going on. He was just he was really looking out for in Matt's absence because
He was.
Matt couldn't be there the way he wanted to be or the way that he could be, and eventually at some point Lita comes home. She comes home to Matt, and this is all coming from an interview done with Matt Hardy. Lita comes home. They're asleep in bed. Matt gets up and goes to the refrigerator to get something to drink or something along those lines, and her phone just one after another after another after another after another. And he looks down at the phone, and it's messages like, is he gone yet? Is he asleep? I miss you. When can we be together? And all this stuff.
I heard that.
And he looks down at the phone, and these are coming from Edge. Yeah, this is all from Matt Hardy's interview that he said after all of this happened, and he went apeshit. Nothing physical. Both parties said, both Lita and Matt said the arguments never got physical. There was never any abuse or anything like that. But verbally, this situation, as you would expect it to, got very, very nasty.
As you can expect. I mean, we're all in long-term relationships and married, etc. But like, you got to think, man, if your wife, your partner of say, however many years, she's getting text messages from another dude saying, I miss you. Is he gone yet? And it's your fucking best fucking friend, dude. You're gonna flip.
You just had this conversation with the person that this is happening with, and you were led to believe that everything was fine. You were put at ease. Like, you had these suspicions. You brought it up. They had a chance to tell you. They openly lied to you and forced you to go against your gut, against your better judgment, said, dude, look, it's the injury. It's the time off the road. I understand.
Make you think paranoid.
But when the third, just to come to find out that you were right the entire friggin' time.
Now, just quick question: when he was looking at the phone, I mean, did his name pop up, or was it just a text message saying, "Hey, I miss you"? Is he gone? But did it say his name on the thing? Did he find out from that point?
I think it actually, he opened the message and he saw it was from Adam Copeland.
Yeah, he said he opened the message, seen that it was from Adam Copeland, which is, as we know, Edge's birth name.
Yeah. Okay.
And look, that's the thing, man. Like, if you, as a guy, and even as a woman, for you to go through your partner cheating on you and to go through that is a pretty fucking tough pill to swallow. But it gets a lot fucking harder when it's someone that is like a brother to you, someone who is a close-knit person to you, who is in your inner circle. That to me would be like, that would drive you insane, dude. That would.
But you know, it's funny. But you know, it's funny. I'm just thinking, like, you know, like Matt is just consulting with, you know, Edge, telling him, man, you know, she's getting mad because I don't buy her chocolates or flowers, or, you know, I don't tell her how beautiful she is, and that motherfucker's just going the other way. Like,
he's gone.
He says, flowers, chocolates,
you're not like you're not doing,
yeah. And then he goes back and does the opposite. Yeah, and he does the opposite, and she's like, "Oh my god, he got me flowers. This motherfucker never gets me flowers." You know, and he's just working the angle, man.
So before we move on, let me ask you guys this, because this is a very, very touchy subject in our culture and our society today. Just to address this topic, when is it okay, if at all, to go through your partner's phone?
It's, you know, that's hard.
Yeah, see, this story has a lot of stuff in it that we've got to discuss. When, if at all, is it okay to go through your partner's phone?
All right, look, I've been with my wife for 7 years, right? And I've never gone through her phone. I've taken her phone and sent someone a smart ass message going, "I'm sitting on the toilet, ran out of toilet paper, goodbye socks," as a joke. but I've never gone through my wife's messages. I've never gone through her social media. She's never done that to me, because if you're in a relationship
in the morning, constant messages coming in, would it be that you don't trust your wife, or would it be who the hell doesn't have respect for me, my wife, and my kids? We're asleep right now. Who is this son of a gun?
But you know what? Like, I won't pick up, like, if my phone, if I'm driving and my phone starts beeping in a message, like, I'll say to my wife, I'll go, "Hey, babe, get my phone. Who's that from?" And if she's driving, she'll say the same thing. So if she's asleep and her phone's going off, I would probably go, "Oh, hold on a sec. What's like?" I think, okay, something might be happening. There must be an emergency, and then I would check it that way. But I would not go out of my way when she's not around and she's in the shower going, "I'm going to go check these messages now."
Yeah, but in the defense of that, yeah, absolutely. What you was telling is great. But in the other scenario, like, let's just go to the far left. You grab the phone just like a normal day, and you pick up and they go, "Hey, baby, I miss you. I love you," and stuff like that. You know, the woman or the man's going to come at you after, when you confront them, like, "Hey, who's Philip? Or who's Maria?" And she's going to be, "How dare you?
Dominoes.
How dare you go through my personal property?" Because that's the defense. I will say it. "Oh, really? You're going to go that extra mile? That's the reason why I'm not with you. That's the reason why we don't get along, because you don't respect my privacy, because you try to do that role reverse, that mind fuck thing,
But I think it comes down to, like, if you're actively looking through your partner's phone, maybe that partner ain't the fucking one for you, homie. You know what I mean? If you feel like you have to do that, you're in the wrong relationship. That's the way I look at it.
I think at some point we've all been in our partner's phone. What the intention isn't to go through their phone to invade their privacy. Piers, you tell the story about driving in the car. I'm very much the same way. Another thing is, like, there's this app. It's a game. Me and Ashley both enjoy playing it. She's a lot better at it than me, so she's got better levels than I do. So I'll grab her phone and I'll start playing the game.
Yeah.
So I do go into my wife's phone, but the level of trust that I have for my wife, I would never just pick up her phone to go through it. Yeah. Just to see, what is she up to? What is she doing? But at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, if I'm awake and she's asleep, I can't say that I wouldn't do it, because look, we got 4 kids. My wife owns her own business. I work 2 full-time jobs, crazy hours of the day. It's very hard for us to find sleep. Piers, you're on the other side of the world, and every time you call me, even when it's like 3 o'clock in the morning here, I'm always awake. Am I not?
100%. Like, that's why I always sound like, "Do you ever fucking sleep, dude?"
My wife's phone is going off, and she's finally getting some sleep. I probably would pick, like, is something wrong? Is somebody saying something, like, is something wrong with a family member? I'll pick it up and I'll be like, okay, hey, she's asleep right now. I'll let her know when she wakes up. Put the phone down. Da 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 da.
Yeah, something urgent. Wake up. We got to act on this now.
Yeah, but I mean, absolutely. You guys are absolutely right. But those are those far few, because you can get the one, not you guys, but I'm just saying, like, the guy on the other end be like, "Oh, wonder if this is important." And what the fuck? And you see this huge dick pic and said, "Baby, you miss it." And you're like,
that's exactly where I was going with it.
If it's not bigger than yours, would you really get upset?
I'm like, what the fuck? Who is
this? He picks up the phone for whatever reason. I think it's very normal in this situation, and I'm not taking Matt's side. I don't know any of these 3 individuals personally. I would sure love to, but I don't. So I'm not taking any sides here. But at the time of day that it was, giving the circumstances, she's on the road. She's tired. She's finally getting rest. I think it's reasonable, and I think it's okay that he picked up the phone and tried to see what was wrong. Maybe something happened with her mom, her dad, whatever the case may be, and it might be an emergency at 4 o'clock in the morning. It better be an emergency. So he picks up the phone and he starts looking at it, and now what he finds, does that in turn, the information that he is given right there in his face, in that aspect, this woman is sleeping in your house, you're in a relationship, you share everything. Given the information he has now, is it okay for him to take a deeper look into the phone?
Look, to me, that would be enough that I would question it. I personally wouldn't do it because, like I said, I'm not one to invade someone's privacy like that.
I don't know how long this has been going on.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Pierce,
look,
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a quick question. Let's
Sorry,
say
before you ask, let me just say
Yeah.
this, right? I heard a different story. I heard that he found some messages originally, and then he said, "No, it's not happening." Blah blah blah. Edge denied it, and then basically she came clean about it, and then he said, "All right, that's it. You guys are done." And then Edge then kept messaging her, saying, I love you, I need you. And he's like telling like Matt, he's like, no, we're done. It was like a one-time thing. You guys are meant to be together. And then behind his back, he's doing it. And then he actually went through and investigated through the phones more and more. Like I for me, I didn't hear that it was like a 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning and the phone was going off. I heard a little bit of a different story. I don't know, whatever way that it was, it's pretty sketchy on his behalf to do that. And it's, to be honest, and it's no offense to Matt Hardy, that's kind of a bitch move.
Yeah,
you know
but the thing
like,
is,
if you suspect it, then you go, you know what? If you feel that passionate about it, fuck you, bitch. There's the door.
But
So
the problem is,
circumstances, should he have went through the phone?
No, not at all. Like from what I heard, and I heard him in an interview say this, that he went to fucking some pretty deep lengths to fucking go through that phone.
well, you got to look at it like this, bro. I mean, in the real world, yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. In the pro wrestling world, there's a different aspect, because the thing is, because you're going to sit there and go, how many of the boys know this? How many of the boys know that,
How bad am I being talked about and laughed at in the locker room?
Yeah.
Share with all these people.
You know how many ribs you get from the boys? Think about it, Pierce. If you were sitting in the locker room and I was sitting next to you and I said, hey, how does Edge's dick taste? I heard he's using a different body wash. You gotta sit there.
All right. But first of all, if I was in that situation, and it was in the wrestling world, the first thing I would do is beat the fuck out of Edge in front of everyone in the fucking roster.
But you can't do
Next
that,
thing
man.
I would do, the motherfucker had said that, I'd beat the fuck out of him. Because you know what the simple thing is? That's the fucking taking it to another fucking level. And I understand the wrestling world is a lot fucking different, but when you start doing that sort of shit, dude,
ribs are ribs, man.
The man out of you has to come out and fucking put some fucking hammer down.
But it's cold-blooded.
Apparently, Pierce is now 10 foot tall and bulletproof. But,
hey, man, you know me. I don't give a fuck, bro. I was fucking,
So what would you get mad because how his dick tastes, or he's using a different body wash?
So you bring up
fuck you, Angel. You're a dickhead.
You bring up a very segue into the next point of this story that I want to get into. So now the story's out, the news is broken. Edge knows what's going on. Matt knows what's going on. Lita knows what's going on, and everybody's on Front Street now. We see Edge and Lita are now a on-screen thing, in real life thing, whatever the case may be. And Matt Hardy gets terminated. He gets released from WWE. Edge goes on to win his first he goes on to win the first Money in the Bank ladder match, giving him a chance at the WWE Championship at any time he chooses. We see him cash in almost a full calendar year later. He cashes in January at a New Year's resolution. He cashes in on John Cena, who was in the prime of his career during his first championship run, one of the longest WWE Championship runs we've seen at that time. Edge wins the WWE Championship, goes into a major feud with John Cena, where he wins, I believe, 3 or 4 championships, WWE championships during this whole time. Lita is right there with him. They're having a live sex celebration on TV. All the while, Matt Hardy's at home. He's not under contract. He's lost his job. He's just seething at home. And then you start to hear the crowd really get behind Matt. We want Matt. We want Matt. We want Matt. And due to the overwhelming support of the fans, WWE brings back Matt. And now right where we are. Edge is WWE champion. No, I think he was WWE champion when Jeff came back. But he's in the title picture. He's been champion, a feat that to this day Matt Hardy has not even come close to getting. He had his ECW championship, but the WWE championship and the heavyweight championship, Matt Hardy's not really in ever really been in that title picture believably. Whenever he gets his shot, we know he's doing the job. But I digress from that. What I'm getting at is you see the man who you blame for ruining your relationship with the woman that you were with, and now right after that happens, his career takes off. And there's no looking back. And now Matt, due to the fans wanting Matt back, we see Matt Hardy back on TV, and they immediately put this on Front Street and have them work the angle that is so personal,
that's hard,
so close to the vest, and they're putting it on national television for the entire world to criticize, have their opinions of the social media outpour, the Facebook comments, the whatever social media was around at the time, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't matter. There is no privacy in this world anymore, and you have all these fans coming at you, all these fans giving their opinions, and you all of a sudden you find yourself, maybe you were in a spot of healing, maybe you were in a spot of getting past it, and now you're reliving every dark aspect, and you're starting to think about it again and get depressed again, and now you have to go to work every single day and wrestle this person, because I believe they made them wrestle each other for a good 2 or 3 months, if not longer.
The thing is,
how do you guys act in that situation?
But the thing is what? Sorry, Angel. The thing is, Matt was the one who brought this to light. He brought it all to fucking light, right? And then obviously we talk about the radio interview or the web interview where he called in, and it seemed to be like a shoot, and it was. The fans were then intrigued in it. When they brought Matt,
their job is to pull ratings.
Yep. So they bring Matt Hardy back. If they didn't put him in a feud with Edge, they didn't do that. The fans would have shat on fucking everything. Oh, great! You're gonna bring him back and have him fucking job to Gilbert?
Yeah,
like, come on, man. Like the story wrote itself. And even when Matt Hardy returned, he was wrestling for Ring of Honor when they were a lot smaller, grabbing the microphone, going, "Check me out at ROH, ROH, ROH," and then gets dragged away. Like, man, they had to do it. They had to do it.
But you got to look at it from that point of view. Like, I mean, they let him go because I didn't think he was. I mean, I'm not knocking him or anything, but I just think Edge was a more hot commodity than Matt was at the time, and they let him go. Just like the same situation of one of our previous shows, which you could watch it on our playlist, about the China situation, where they let her go because she was with Stephanie, and they just like, well, kick her out. I mean, and it's just like, and then they put him in a program.
Stephanie, Triple H was.
Yeah.
That's a different thing altogether, brother.
That's another show. But the thing is, that's what I'm saying. But that's the thing, like, how
hard times.
Hard times. How hard that will be to work with somebody, knowing.
God, guys, the T-shirt's coming. #hard times.
You know how hard it is to be in a ring with the man who betrayed you, that you have to be professional, like the Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart situation, to be professional, put all your feelings aside, to be embarrassed in front of millions of people, to put your personal story out there like it's just like an angle. Sometimes WWE does that, not realizing the repercussions of what's going to happen, even though nothing happened. But like his brother with his DUI storyline. But again,
which one?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's just like, I'll be like, I can't say I would not do my job because that's what you're hired for. But then in my heart, I'd be like, this is some bullshit. How are you going to get in a ring where you have to protect the guy and not go, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to drop him on his head? Oh yeah, man, they could have probably threatened him. Not threatened him, but emotion would kick over. And when you saw Matt return, we've all been big fans of wrestling. Angel, you've been a wrestler for over 20 plus years.
when he came back and they had that little schmoz thing in the ring and fucking Matt's beating the fuck out of him, man, I don't know. Either that was some pretty stiff working or there was a couple of shoot shots in there. I don't know. You tell me. Like that looked as about as real as anything I had ever seen in pro wrestling at that time.
I'll throw in a couple potatoes.
If you don't think there were some liberties taken in those matches, you might want to go back and rewatch it. But so we go through this entire feud, and it was some of Matt's best work because it was so real. It was so personal. We got the Matt Hardy will never die out of it. Yeah. We had some crazy spots. We had some crazy matches. And this went on for a while, and it ultimately led to a match. I believe it was a ladder match where if Matt Hardy lost, he would go to SmackDown. We saw him get tangled in the ropes. We saw Lita get involved. Edge wins the match. Matt Hardy goes to SmackDown. We're out of the woods. This feud is over, and now everybody can start to move on. And what happens the very next week? Edge is WWE champion. He goes out saying that he's better than everybody, and he can take anybody on. It doesn't matter whose music hits. Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy comes out, immediately feuds for the title, and right back at it again. And a lot of Jeff's promos. You screwed my brother. Da 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 da. And Edge returns with, "I didn't screw your brother, just his girlfriend." Yeah.
I forgot about that promo, man. I'm gonna have to go watch that again. I remember as soon as you said it, that's why I went, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, he just looks at me and goes, "You screwed Matt," and Edge goes, "No, not Matt, just Lita." But anyway, so now we are back in this same. We're right back to square one with a different family member. And to be honest, if I'm being honest with you guys, I think Jeff was madder than Matt was.
Because that's his baby brother.
I think not only is it his baby brother, but I think Jeff felt somewhat responsible because whenever you see somebody that you're that close to go through something tragic, you often ask yourself, was there anything I could have done? Yeah. Now, Matt was off the road. Jeff wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He was off the road.
Matt wasn't there.
Where was Christian? Where was Christian at this time? Was he out as well?
I believe Christian. Now I didn't really look too much into it, but I do remember an interview with Christian where this got brought up, and I believe he made the comment, and this could have been a work, it could have been a shoot, who really knows? But I think he said that he had talked to Edge. He had told him, like, look, you might want to take a closer look at what you're doing here, and he backed away from it. He wanted to be out of it. He didn't tell Matt, but he didn't encourage Edge either.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like Jeff may have felt some sense of responsibility because, like I said, even though Matt was off the road, Jeff was still there. So maybe in Jeff's mind, he's like, I could have done something. There's something I could have done. I should have noticed. I should have been the one that she was riding with, that she was going to, and stuff like that. But at the same time, whenever you're having an argument with your significant other, do you really want to go to his brother? Because you just think he's going to take his side and stuff like that. So Jeff is not at fault for any of this, but I honestly feel like those matches we had with Jeff and Matt, or not Jeff and Matt, but Jeff and Edge, were more brutal at some points than the Matt and Edge matches.
I agree. But let me throw this out to you guys. And look, this is something that I just had a thought of. What if the whole thing was a work? What if Matt and Lita No. Just hear me out. Matt and Lita, they've gone, you know what? We can't be together. We're still going to be friends, but as far as this relationship, it's been on borrowed time. We're done. Edge is the guy that they want to make the big superstar, the big heel. Why don't we try and make Matt the big star babyface and then create two main event players? Only difference is Edge was able to carry the ball. Matt wasn't.
I think.
What about the firing was a work?
Nah.
Yeah, go work some indies. You know, you're still under contract with us. We'll make it out like this. Could that have been a possibility? But the only difference is instead of making 2 stars, Matt couldn't really carry that load. Unlike Lita. Boom. No I'm kidding.
No, but I mean that's a real that's kind of reaching, man. That's just trying to like.
I'm just thinking out loud, bro. That's
you're talking. Here's my thing. Now, I understand these were different times. I understand that these were
hard times.
I'm about to compare apples and oranges here, but first off, that's a very in-depth thing to try to pull off. So many moving pieces, so many cogs in the wheel. I think it would have been too much to plan out. But when you think about excuse me, when you think about, is this a work? Edge was in the title picture. So now you have Edge, Lita, Matt in the WWE Championship. You're talking about a company who put the WWE Championship on Jinder Mahal, on the Great Khali, on so many different people who weren't ready to bear that load. However, in this situation, even if Matt wasn't able to carry the championship, the storyline was able to carry the championship. So you could have easily put that as the ultimate ending to let the babyface finally get his comeuppance. I think if this was a work, you would have seen Matt win the WWE Championship at some point.
Yeah, but
and you know what? One reason of many, but I don't think it could be a work. However, if it was a work, then it's probably the best work WWE's ever pulled off.
Let me put it like this: like Edge was always a massive baby face. He was just well liked. When you saw the split with him and Christian, maybe they thought, how do we make him hated? How do you make a guy hated more than anything else in the world? Fuck his best friend's girl.
You have him
tied. How do you give sympathy to Matt Hardy and elevate him as a babyface to get that sympathy of the crowd? Have his best mate fuck his girl.
You have him tie in an over-the-top battle royal with Chris Benoit, who a little bit later would have a stranglehold on the WWE.
Oh, Jesus.
But no, seriously, I honestly think that was one of the. I think between that and between. See, Edge, before this even broke, before it really came out, like when it first broke and you saw Edge and Lita on screen together, you had your handful of people who were smartened up, but the general public, we didn't know how deep this went. We didn't know how bad this went. When Edge won Money in the Bank, we weren't quite there just yet. So I think his run with Money in the Bank established him as a very good heel. When he had that over-the-top rope where he tied with Chris Benoit, all 4 feet hit at the exact same time, and all that jazzy stuff, I think he was already establishing himself as somebody who could really be a top heel in the company.
I'm just saying that this whole thing could elevated that to fucking tenfold, bro.
No, you're right.
Like I'm just saying, like it could have been the ultimate fucking work.
Yeah.
The thing is, Matt Hardy couldn't hold up his end of the bargain with it.
And you could connect Lee Harvey Oswald and Sam Giancana and JBO, the Lyndon Johnson
of that little Jesus statue, and just said, I need to make this because it's going to go to this store and Angel's going to find it and we're going to get it on a podcast. And you can connect any dots you want for any topic you want if you try hard enough.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just trying to put out a different mindset and different thought behind the whole thing. Like, fair enough, it was a complete shoot. But what if it was
a complete shit? That's what it is.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But was it?
Bro, and this is why Australia's economy has went down the shitter. I don't know, dude. I mean, like I said, you could connect everything as a storyline, but I don't think it was. I think it just
the Australian economy. I sent Pierce $5 American, and he retired off of it.
Yeah, I did. I actually paid off my house for that, man. Thank you.
But like I said, I mean, I don't think it was. I think this what happened. They, he was hurt. He dug his claws in her, and it takes two to tango. And he got punked. He got played, and it was embarrassing. And again, I'm not trying to embarrass him. It's just like it's hard, man, when you're in the locker room and all the boys know.
But that's the thing as well. Like you look at the storyline as well, because it pretty much played out where how before it started, Kane was Lita's on the screen lover, whatever, because he won her in a match, and then next thing you know, Edge is the one taking her from Kane, and then it's art imitating life.
Oh,
and then it becomes life imitating art. When
then you're going to say that Mark Henry was really in a relationship with Mae Young.
There is one thing that we cannot take away, that we cannot deny, and that is the simple fact that all three members involved, Edge, Lita, Matt Hardy, and I'll even throw Jeff Hardy in there as well, went on to achieve milestones in their career that they didn't have before this. Edge, title picture, goes on to win 14 world titles, 13 or 14 of them, retires as the world champion, comes back to an amazing ovation at the Royal Rumble just recently. But up until that point, he retired. His final match was WrestleMania against Alberto Del Rio, where he successfully defended the World Heavyweight title. What better way to go out? You have Matt Hardy, who went on to become ECW champion. Yes, it was the WWE version of ECW, but he still became
glorious.
He became a brand champion. Mm-hmm. Jeff Hardy went on to win not only the WWE championship, but the World Heavyweight Championship and countless others. They go on to TNA, Ring of Honor, the Expedition of Gold, the Broken Gimmick. They come back at WrestleMania, win so many tag titles. I think I don't want to say they benefited because of this, but on the back end of this, after all the heartbreak was over, after all the mourning of the relationship was over, I think all three members involved, including Jeff, so 4 members, I think after all of this was over, it really put them in a light where people looked at them in a different way, and all 4 of them achieved amazing success. I think the only person who really didn't was Lita. She did, I believe, won another women's championship after, but she had been women's champion before. She was the only one to really hold the top singles title in her division. So it brought her back into relevancy, but the other 3 involved definitely took them to a whole nother level that they have not achieved before that.
But let me ask you this. Do you think that it damaged Lita's career? Because even after that, remember the chants like Lita is a hoe and people chanting hoe at her, like it, I think years and years later, once she retired and came back, but since that happened up until her retirement, she was never really embraced by the fans on that level again. Granted, she was a heel, but
I think a lot of it has to go to how they kept emphasizing it. You had Hacksaw Jim Duggan come out. Exactly. He's known for saying it, and they kind of did that double meaning behind it. And then you had one of my favorite matches of all time. You had Edge versus Mick Foley in a hardcore match at WrestleMania, the spear through the plate table. But before that, when all this happened and they had the hardcore title back on TV, you have Mick Foley come out and he says, Edge, you're in the ring with that prostitute. And for once, I'm not talking about Lita. He was referring to the hardcore title, and they were just prostituting it out. But the point I'm trying to make is not only did the fans look at her that way, but they had the talent look at her that way. They had them reclaiming it every single time a legend came in, every time there was a major storyline. Throughout the Edge's, in my opinion, Edge's best rivalry in his career against John Cena. John did it numerous times. Mick Foley, Hacksaw, even Ron Simmons, even though all he said was damn. It was at the times in the conversation that they set up for it. It really set up that Lita's a whore.
But that's the thing. I think they did it to get that cheap reaction from the crowd. But as I said, I don't know. Like, what do you think, Angel? Do you think it affected her career long forward and how she's perceived by the audience?
No, I mean, as far as I could tell, I mean, she's a legend in the women's division. I mean,
I still think she's a legend, like in ring, everything like that. But I'm saying, like, after that incident, up until that retirement, they just kept on. You're a slut.
No.
You're a slut. You're a slut, and slut shaming her. Like at one point, WWE needed to get over the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really affected her. I mean, no. I mean, I'm being honest. I think, yeah, it sucks to hear that you're a slut. I mean, but it's the same thing with Kurt Angle. You suck. You suck. I mean, it just becomes part of it just becomes deafening after a while. So I don't think it affected her legacy or either way, or, I think she's fine as it is now. She's rich, she's living her life, and she's doing all right.
Oh yeah, I mean, she comes back now and she gets the pop that of a legend. You know what I mean? Like she comes back once, twice a year. She gets that big pop.
Yeah. So she's okay. So like I said, she could come back anytime, and so
Yeah, I mean, look at the all women's pay-per-view Evolution. Look at the women's Royal Rumble. She debuted the Raw Women's Championship.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, she's a Hall of Famer. She's achieved everything there is to achieve in her career. She's still a very beloved person in pro wrestling. But in that time when all this happened, I think they spent too much time driving home that she's a whore. And once again, we said this in the beginning of the show. We come to watch wrestling. I understand storylines are a major part of that. I understand the soap opera feel of it. And Vince has openly said, I'm not in the wrestling business. I'm in the sports entertainment business.
Yeah.
But during that time, I do think it had a negative impact on her career overall. No, because she's proven multiple times she can come back at any time and get just as big a pop as anybody.
But you know what? And I'm probably going to contradict myself here. Stephanie McMahon, fuck up, Angel. But you look at Stephanie McMahon. She got called the same sort of shit by The Rock and Jericho in that around the invasion angle, and when she was that massive heel, she got called all those sort of names as well. The only difference is she's been around consistently in WWE, where I think probably nowadays people probably forgotten about that. Plus, new fans have come in that probably didn't know that storyline. But
So, guys, I think we all can agree that topics like this we can go on for days,
forever.
It happens every day, everywhere you look. Whether it be WWE, CZW, TNA, New Japan, it does not matter. This stuff happens everywhere. And spoiler alert, guys, in 1 week's time, when we come back next Monday, we're going to have another relationship tragedy story waiting for you guys. So I think now is as good a time as any to wrap things up. We've taken enough of these people's time.
Sure.
So we're going to sign off. We're going to get ready and start studying and going over our notes for next episode. You're not going to want to miss it. But before we get out of here, let's go to Angel Piers, and then I'll end things on the day.
Well, I just want to say, no matter what happened between Matt and Edge, they have something in common. They can go into business together and open a bar.
Eskimo Brothers.
That's right. They can open a bar because they both have a liquor license. Wait for it.
Hey, Angel, quick question. How does Lita hold her liquor?
I don't know. How does she hold the liquor?
By the ears.
And Kevin, take it away.
Guys, I want to try to save just a little bit of decorum for the show. Once again, shout out to Vince Russo and the Vince Russo Network for allowing us degenerates to be on his platform. We are internally grateful, and we can't thank you enough. So thank you, Vince, for that. Also, huge shout out to A-Rock Designs for all of her amazing support of the show. Make sure you get in contact with her for any custom designs, whether it be shirts, hats, koozies, cups, hoodies, It does not matter. Hit up A-Rock Designs and place your custom orders today. Also, guys, Mayon Belts, Eddie and Ira Williams. Make sure you check out Mayon Belts on Facebook if you're looking to start your belt collection or add to your belt collection. Payment plan as low as $20 a paycheck. You are not going to find anywhere else that allows you to get immaculate championship belts for such a low price. Eddie is willing to work with you any way he can to get you any belt that you would like to have in your collection. He's a phenomenal guy and one of my best friends. So make sure you go check out Mayon Belts. And lastly, guys, we are working on getting our Pro Wrestling Tee store up and running for Wrestling with Tragedy. But
Kingpin approved.
In the meantime, you are feeling the need to get some of that awesome merch, some of that great stuff that we offer, and you really want to help support myself, Angel, and Piers, head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/Wrestling Review Society. That is my Pro Wrestling Tee store. Or ProWrestlingTees.com/MWA World. That is Piers and his team's Pro Wrestling Tee store. You can find some amazing t-shirt designs and support our other shows, Shooting the Shit Uncensored with Piers Austin. He's interviewed some amazing people like Vince Russo, Zicky Dice, TJ Perkins, just to name a few. And you can also check out the War Room shirt on the Wrestling Review Society Pro Wrestling Tee store, where I have interviewed guys like Garrett and Eric Bischoff and the current reigning defending NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis. So thank you guys for all of your support. We will see you next week with another amazing story. And until then, guys, hang in there, and we'll see you down the road.